Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Potato Land podcast. This episode is our fifth episode. Oh, actually, this is our sixth. I was pretending like I was reading. What a terrible joke. I don't know how to, not a practiced actor, however you say that. So I was just going for a joke off the bat. And what a miserable failure that was. Welcome back. Thank you so much for keeping up. This podcast, a little bit of show or whatever we're going to call it, is a little bit about how we're doing our own podcast and the stumbles or the fumbling along the way. And so I like to keep that a little bit of a theme. What we learn from fumbling through what is essentially live. I mean, gosh, if I was to do this live, the get up and start part, I would always come in with all right, so hello everyone. Thanks for being here. Sort of, how do you say tone? Or there's got to be another word I could use except tone, but my demeanor would change off the bat. Instead of these jump start, excited, sort of, anyway, you get what I'm saying. Along the lines of the theme of the podcast, well, maybe it's just one of our themes. I like to have something to start with. And this week, well, I just wanted to acknowledge that it's not just my podcast, it's yours too. Or, you know, because you watch this and you go, if that guy can do it, I can do it. That sort of thing. So it's about us. And when I say us, I mean whether you want to do one or not. We can only assume that, see, like last episode, I mentioned family a little bit, which can probably be a little bit of a sensitive subject for people, especially come holiday time. Happy holidays, by the way. Speaking of holidays, I did do a environmental change, and if there are any visible holidays, it's for... I like just not making the jokes. I like not making the jokes as well. And I also like the idea that I have nothing to start with. So when that day comes, it'll just be another challenge. But today, we're sort of running along the lines of, and I love using phrases that don't exist, you know, especially when I'm in a good mood. But we're sort of going along the lines of, when you have like a guiding rail, we're sort of walking along the lines of our podcast or our show or whatever. And where I'm going with this is already we're again off to a little bit of a shaky start. But where I was going, oh, you know what we could do? I thought about this right before I started. Set the fast forward button thing on 1.5. That way I sound like I'm talking like a normal person. Because, you know, getting all these phrases out or all these hard, difficult terms and stuff can make one pause and hesitate and whatnot. So, this is the podcast where this is the one podcast where you for sure want to put that button, you want to select that button on your well, this is just YouTube so far. So on your little YouTube player to 1.5 times the speed. It might be 1.25, whatever you prefer. I'd actually like to make another stab at that joke because I do like that one, but we're just going to move along. Along the lines of, if we want to start our own podcast, let's see, I wrote it down here. The show is a lot about not being able to get a word in with your family. So I mentioned it a second ago. I did sort of throw it out there last week that I was on the phone with family. And all I mean by sort of, we do talk about what we talked about in the last episode a lot. We do that. And so along the lines of that as well, I only talk to my family members who are, let's say, at equal rank or lower than me right now. So in terms of the family tree. So it's not to say that my holidays aren't fun, but it's not to say that they're as good as anyone else's. It's just that I was having a rough time getting up and going last week. But where I'm going is with this is when you're sitting around the family table, that's when you're hoping that you can jump in with, contribute to the conversation. You jump in with a comment or idea or extra information about something. And when you don't have that opportunity, you tend to want to go outside of the place that you reside, which you hang out all the time, I imagine, or assume, and mingle with other people just to fulfill that need. I'm sure this has been talked about throughout humanity. I don't know what subject, in colleges everywhere, but possibly. But so going to the bars, and by the way, bouncing your therapy off of 6 different people to sort of catch up from last episode as well. Or just talking to strangers. I do it a lot in my job. I hope you do it in yours. Can be really therapeutic because you're not fighting for a word with your family to get a word in. So that's all. I wanted to cover all that stuff from essentially covering what we talked about last week. And I'm aware that I have no viewers. So when I say we, I mean me and myself on the other screen and whoever may be listening/watching in the future, which is now if you're listening, watching here and now, right? Okay. What else? What other stuff? I wrote some stuff down this week, and we could probably do that as well later if I get a more expensive setup. Just go into the notepad. Go into the notepad as a segment. Enough with the segments, right? I know. No more segments. Next week I'll just do bare bones. But I did kind of go on a roll last week and didn't really get totally around to talking about a lot of stuff. So this is all, you could say, backlog stuff. Another thing I wanted to cover, it's not on this list actually. I'll show you the list for sure. It's on a sticky note. But another thing I wanted to cover was, oh no, I'm losing it. I was, hoping for the focus to work on that shot there, and I forgot what I was going to say. Well, it'll come back to me. You saw it. Act like I'm reading. And, oh, there you go. So this is along the same theme of what we were talking about earlier. And I'm going to apologize right now for the hesitations and stuff. Long day. I certainly put in a bunch of labor. But this podcast is also about, or show, is also about what I'm not talking about. Right? So I could be talking about certain things. And I just decide not to mention them because I want the conversation to be a challenge to me as well. So if it's your podcast, if it's my podcast, our podcast is a challenge for us as well. So, in real time, nobody's listening. Well, especially because I edit it and then put it out. But, and I gotta pretend like I'm talking to somebody, not to mention stare at a bulbous, round-looking thing the whole time and sort of pretend like it's a human being and react as if it was as well. Somebody maybe in a comatose state or something, listening, but not adding anything. Yeah, so it, almost like I'm alongside a hospital bed. It's a new way to look at things. You're also hearing me not bring up stuff. And it's not stuff that I don't want to talk about. It's just if you ramble on too much about this and that, right? So finally, we're more than 10 minutes in here, and I finally get to something that of some substance. So you saw it. I'm not going to talk about it. And we're moving on to the first thing that I wanted to get to on the list. And that is, I did mention this a bit last episode. We touched on it anyway. But it'd be cool if my saving account had hierarchy in my routine. There's a tiny bit to go over here with my subconscious, which may have nothing to do with you. But in my living situation, all my finances are combed through. So I have to kind of battle a little more than you, since where I live, they to kind of check me out, make sure I can still live here and stuff. Low income housing. They want to know, that I'm not getting too rich, I think is, or storing away too much money or something. I don't know. The point is, it works against my subconscious, and I don't think anybody else would have to deal with that. But to put or a lot of us don't, unless somebody's going through your bank accounts, right? But to put my savings account ahead of paying my bills as a new way of doing things. I'm not just chasing down my bills anymore. The first of the month or so, I'm gonna, maybe this first week, maybe that means latest the 7th of the month or something, I'm going full blast trying to add to my savings account. And you obviously want that to be a hefty amount because you want to look back 3 months, 5 months later, 6 months, whatever, and see a larger number than you're used to seeing in your account, right? So, which can be a hassle. So we can do this together, that sort of concept. And then it says, going back to the notepad, looks like we covered all of that. It says theme of doing your own, in case you're rewinding and pausing, and then jumping back to where you were. We covered enough of that. I kind of want to, I suppose, theme of doing your own show. There's one more thing we can discuss. I don't want to discuss it. We'll throw it into the next week or something. Mostly just because I'm boring and I know I'm getting boring right now. Jumping ahead. There's something I don't want to talk about too. So, forced that laugh out. So, that's everything. All right, well, I'd hate to wrap it up. What a waste of a show. I could have been more organized, that's for sure. Did everything right on this one, and we're just going down the drain. What an awful... Did I give you anything to use? Felt like last episode was a blast though. Yeah, I was going to go down a list of things that we didn't get to from last episode. I'm not going to do it anymore. But, and then there's a previous episode where I didn't touch on things that I wanted to talk about when it came to episode 4, when it came to people that were sort of criticizing my future attempts at doing this, right? But we don't have to talk about that stuff either. How about we make it quick? I apologize. I'd love to at least talk about something in the news or something. What's in the news? Something I've been listening to recently. Okay, well, I mean, what? I don't know. What's good, you know? What's good in the news? I didn't know we had 3 vaccines out. That's wonderful. Would love to touch on whether I'm going to do it or not. Everybody's sort of at this point where they're going to actually have to decide whether they're going to have someone stick a needle in their arm or wherever you put it. I'd hate to go on record publicly and say that I'm going to do something and then not do it. Mostly because, excuse me, for those guttural noises, mostly because I'm not sure that when it comes to it, and you never know, right? You never know. If you weren't in this situation, relax, chill out, don't get too excited, don't say what you're going to do. I really don't know. But as you can tell, I'm leaning towards doing it. The other argument is that I think I'm healthy enough to contract it and survive with ease. In fact, I probably already had it and was asymptomatic. I don't know because I don't get tested. And this is all just about long lines, getting up and deciding to do something and going forward and doing it. Yeah, I mean, gosh, one day, hopefully soon, I'm going to be able to just ramble and not consider so much about what I'm saying and throwing out into the public arena. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, well, I'd hate to have such a shit episode so soon. supposed to be cranking out some good stuff. Stepped all over the humor in the beginning. Gosh. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. All right. Well, another week, another show down the drain. It's been fun while it lasted, and if anything, I could apologize for just the energy that I expended today. But I come at you with 100% intention of doing these great, making great shows, episodes, podcasts, whatever, every single time. So it's not about that, but an apology means I won't do it again. And I like to always add that. If I'm going to apologize, I like to throw in a sorry. I like to make eye contact and tell you that I won't do it again. So, bit of energetic day, but who cares? I won't do it again. That's how you sandwich your sorry. You give your excuse, and then you give your apology, and okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys for being here. And we're a team. We're our little team now. I was going to say, if you could say it with me this time, because I'm going to declare my podcast name or show name. If I say podcast, I say podcast. One day this will hopefully be up on things like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I was going to declare the name, the title, and I was hoping that you could say it with me. But it's been a shit episode, so thanks for viewing / watching, listening to Potato Land. It's been fun, guys. Have a great week. We got some stuff out there. Have a great week. I'll see you guys around the bend. Okay, cheers.